Okay, so welcome to what might be the first episode of Trunk Dairy Fales, where I crash and burn on the internet in front of all of you, and you get to point and laugh and troll away. This may or may not be a thing. If it is, yay! I'm gonna have fun doing it. I think it's funny to get drunk and tell stories, so that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna leave you for a minute. I'm gonna go read a book and have some drinks, and I'll see you back in a few. Bye. And I'm drunk. So, Operation Shirley Temple was a success, and cheers to you. So, I wanted to tell you a story. And so I chose something from Grimm's Fairy Tales, and it's called Allerleirauh. I think I said that right. I hope I did. It means of many different kinds of fur. And so it's one of my favorite stories, probably because it's the most fucked up. And really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So it starts off with a king and a queen. Surprise, surprise. And the queen is on her deathbed, and she's so beautiful, and she has lovely, flowing, golden hair. And so she's on her deathbed, and she says to the king, she's like, I'm dying. And if you ever remarry, make sure that she's just as beautiful as I am, and she has the same hair and same face and the same everything. Otherwise, fuck you, don't marry anybody else. And he's like, okay, I promise. And as soon as the king promises, she's like, she croaks, she dies. And so some time passes, and the king's counselors are like, yo, you gotta marry, we can't have a king without a queen, that's just unheard of, you gotta like go look for a bride. So he's like, okay, well, go get me one. And he sends out his people, his counselors, and he's like, you gotta find the most beautiful woman in the whole entire kingdom and bring her back here. And she's got to look exactly like the queen. And they're like, okay. And they go out and they come back because they couldn't find anybody. And it turns out that the king had a daughter who looked exactly like her dead mother. Go figure. Same golden hair. And so she grows up, and the king's like, wow, you look exactly like my dead wife, and I feel violent love for you. Those are the words in the story. Violent love. I don't know how that goes, but I'm sure you can imagine. And so he's like, okay, well, I gotta marry my daughter. And the counselors are like, dude, like, no way. That's just nope. God is like, you can't marry your daughter. You can't just do that. Like, the whole kingdom will be in ruin if you marry your daughter. Pick somebody else. And king's like, no, like, I've already decided she's the only one. That's, my wife said, pick somebody that looks like me, so that's the way it is. And so the daughter finds out, and she's equally shocked, and is like, nope, this is a bad idea. But she comes up with a plan. And her plan is, she's like, okay, I'm gonna ask for these impossible things. She's like, hey, Daddy, I'll marry you only if you get me 3 dresses. One that is as golden as the sun, one as silver as the moon, and one as bright as the stars. And also, besides that, you have to get me mantle, a coat, that is made of 1,000 different kinds of fur and pelts of one of every animal in your kingdom. And then I'll marry you, Dad. Ew. And he's like, okay, I'll fucking show you. And so he gets all of his cleverest maidens to make him these dresses, a golden one, a silver one, and one as bright as the stars. And he sends out his hunters, his huntsmen, and they go and they kill, doesn't say kill, they just say they take a piece of like every animal. Okay, whatever, Jigsaw. And makes this mantle, this coat. And he like lays down in front of his daughter and is like, wedding's tomorrow, bitch. And she's like, fuck. So she packs up a golden ring and a golden spinning wheel and a golden reel. She likes fishing. It's cool. She's my kind of girl. And she packs up the dresses in a nutshell, because everything fits in a nutshell in fairy tales. And she uses soot and she blacks up her skin and she puts up on the coat of many different kinds of fur. She takes all her shit and she walks into the forest and she walks until she gets tired, and then she finds a hollow tree and she falls asleep in the hollow tree. And then the next day, this is important, remember this for later, the next day the king is hunting in the forest with his huntsmen, and the huntsmen are like, whoa dude, we found this crazy animal in this tree, and he's like, get it, fetch it, bring it back alive to the kingdom, and I'll make it a pet or whatever. And so they go and get the thing, the animal, the girl that's in the tree trunk. And they're like, yo, the king demands you come with us, and who are you, whatever. And she's like, my mother and father deserted me and I have no home, please take me with you. Very next day, I don't know how she doesn't, like, okay, but whatever. They're like, yeah, you can work in the kitchen. Fairy tales, kitchen, bitches work in the kitchen. You can make us sandwiches. Yeah, so, they take her back to the castle. And they're like, hairy animal, you can sleep in the closet under the stairs. So that's her room. Just like Harry Potter. She gets the closet under the stairs. Yeah, so she works in the kitchen and she like sweeps the hearth and cooks and cleans and does all that shit. And eventually the king throws like a big festival thing. Excuse me. And so king throws this big festival, and Allerleirauh is in the kitchen. She begs the cook. She's like, please can I go and like check out the party? I'm young and I want to check it out. Please can I go and do this? Like, promise I'll be back in half an hour. Just let me go and chill out. And cook's like, okay. And so she cleans herself up and she puts on one of the dresses. She puts on the dress that's as golden as the sun. And she goes to the party and everybody's like, oh my god, you're so pretty. You're so beautiful. Where'd you get your dress? Who made your dress? I love your dress. And the king's like, dance with me. So they dance and like her time's up. And she runs off and she disappears into the crowd, and the king's like, wait, don't go. And she's like, no, I got shit to do. And So she runs back to her closet under the stairs, and she puts the soot on her skin again, and she takes off the dress, and she puts on her furry coat, and she goes back to the kitchen. And the cook's like, make this soup, make the king's soup. It's bread soup, it's his favorite soup, you make it, and I'm gonna go check out the party, because you did, and I want to now, so cook. And so she's like, okay, so she makes the soup, and she puts in the golden ring from that time before, when she took and left like a day ago. And she makes soup, and she puts it in the soup, and the king's like, whoa, this is the greatest I've ever had, and he wants to talk to the cook, and the cook comes, and he's like, I don't get it, like, this tastes so good, and it's better than you usually make it. Oh yeah, before that, okay, so before the cook leaves, when she says go make the soup, she's like, you better not get any of your damn coat fur hairs in the soup, because if I find out, I'm going to beat you. And then, Trunk. And the king calls the cook, and the cook's like, oh shit, I swear to God, if you put hair, if you got one of your stupid jacket hairs in the soup, I'm gonna beat you, and you'll never eat again. So, the cook, he goes up to the king, and finally admits, he's like, the fur bitch made the soup. Sorry. And the king, he's like, okay, well, bring her to me. And so the girl goes to see the king, and the king's like, I don't know. So daughter's like, yeah, I made the soup, and king's like, what are you good for? And she's like, I'm only good for having boots thrown at my head. No shit. That's what she says. I'm only good for having boots thrown at my head. And he's like, okay, well, what do you know about this ring? And she's like, I don't know anything about the ring. And so, like, okay. And she goes back to the kitchen and cleans up the hearth and does her duties or whatever. And some time passes, and they throw another festival, and the same thing. She's working in the kitchen. She begs the cook, please can I go? Please can I go to the festival? Like, I do nothing all day. I just want to go and like look at them. And the cook's like, okay. So she goes back to her closet on the stairs, and she cleans herself up, and she puts on the second dress, the one that's as silvery like the moon. And she goes to the party, and everybody's like, oh my god, you're so pretty. Oh, I love your dress. Where's your dress from? Who made your dress? You're so pretty. And the king's like, dance with me. And so they dance, and he wants her to stay, and keeps telling like the orchestra, make this song longer so I can dance with this girl because she's hot. And so finally she's like, oh shit, my time's up. And she runs back to her closet under the stairs, and she puts slip back on her skin, shakes dress off, and she puts on her fur mantle coat thing. And she goes back to the kitchen, and the cook again is like, make the soup, you did it last time. I'm gonna go check out the party. So she makes soup, and she puts the fucking golden spinning wheel in the bowl of soup. I don't know how you fit a spinning wheel unless it's like a joke spinning wheel. I don't know how you fit one of those in a bowl of soup. Anyway, she puts that in there, and the king's like, whoa, this soup is really good, bring the cook. And again, the girl goes up and she's like, what do you know about this spinning wheel? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I made soup, but I don't know how the spinning wheel got in there. I'm just good for having boots thrown at my head. And he's like, okay, well, whatever. So again, time passes, And same thing happens. And so this time she puts on the fucking, she begs and begs and begs, and she's like, let me go to the party. And the cook's like, yeah, fine, fuck off, get out of here. And she puts on the last dress, the one as bright as the stars. And again, they're all like, wow, you're so beautiful, you're so pretty, where's your dress, where'd you get your dress? And and the king again is like, dance with me. Again, this time he's like, make that song a little longer, because this girl is really hot. And so while they're dancing this time, he slips a ring on her finger, real sneaky like. I don't know how you don't notice a ring getting put on your finger. Anyway, maybe there's fruitfulness involved. Okay, so yeah, so he puts this ring on her finger while they're dancing, and the song's a little longer, so she's late, right? She's been longer than half an hour away from the kitchen. And so she goes back to her closet under the stairs, and she like quickly puts the soot on her skin again, except she misses a finger, which happens to be the finger that the ring is on. And she doesn't have time to take off her dress, so she just throws on the fur skin. And she goes back to the kitchen, and he calls her back. The king calls her back, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know about this golden reel and no soup. And he catches her, and he's like, aha, like, yeah, I see your white finger. He grabs her hand, and she tries to pull away, but he tears part of the fur skin away. And he sees the dress underneath, and he's like, oh my god, like, you're the girl who apparently he doesn't recognize as his own daughter. Don't get that part. But, you know, fairy tales. And she's like, oh, you know, you got me. It's me. And, you know, everybody's in awe. And she's the most beautiful girl anybody has ever seen in the entire kingdom. And then they're happily married. And that's the end of the story. Yep. Yep. There you have it. That's the end of Allerleirauh. King marries his daughter, and they live happily ever after. The end. And this concludes this episode of Trunk Dairy Fales, and I'm going to, it's Christmas, no, not Christmas, New Year's Eve for me, by the way, so I'm going to probably make myself another drink. I don't think it's going to be a Shirley Temple though, because you can only have so many Shirley Temples in one night. It's probably going to be whiskey. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode with shitty camera and shitty lighting and probably shitty audio because I have no mic. And maybe this will be a thing, maybe it won't be. Either way, I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.